Alright, hello, welcome to the video. Today, I went on Reddit and I said, hey, I said, why is your hot take? I'm stupid. I'm so dumb. So, what's your hot take for Final Fantasy VI? I just finished the game, as you may have noticed on the channel, and I was kind of curious what people thought was a hot take for this game. You know, I'm very unexperienced with this game, so my hot take, and it's probably, from my understanding, is not actually a hot take, is that I don't like Ga. I kind of talk shit about him a little bit in the tier list, so yeah, just don't care for him. So, with that said, let's get straight into it. Alright, first up, my hot take is that I love the game to death, and I think it gets exponentially better when you use all the characters, but I really don't understand when people refer to the story as though it's some kind of narrative roller coaster that grabs hold of you and never lets go. Six's story is honestly not up to much. It's all about the individual character vignettes and the player taking time to get attached to them. Also, some people call Kefka one of the best villains in the franchise when he arguably has less depth and development than Exdeath. And I'm gonna start and say I don't know Exdeath. I have not played that game yet, so I don't know. I kind of get this a little bit. The game very much is built on the back of the characters, but I've only ever played through it once, so I can't really personally say, so you'll have to let me know how you feel about this one if it's really a hot take. Up next, we have Kefka is the least threatening main villain of the first 10 games. He spends most of the first half being comic relief or only doing evil acts in very cowardly ways like poisoning the water supply, and is generally shown to be incredibly incompetent. When he finally gains power, he destroys the world, which seems in a bit threatening until you actually start exploring the world and realize that not only did he not kill any of the playable characters that threatened him over the course of a year, but he also didn't kill that many NPCs over the course of the year. This I kind of get. I thought Kefka was a pretty well-written character. I thought he was a good villain, and I mean, he kind of accomplished his goal. He set out to throw the world into chaos, and he did, right? But I guess when you kind of look at it like this, yeah, he really didn't do a whole lot. People grossly over-exaggerating Kefka's exploit. They make him sound like some kind of mastermind, despite him clearly doing everything on a sheer whims, as if he knew the moving the Warring Triad would result in becoming the god of magic, or that he meticulously hid his sadistic side. This again, you know, Kefka I thought was a very good villain. A lot of people seem to write Kefka off as being kind of a knob, you know? And we'll see a few more comments like this, but I kind of liked him, even though he was a little bit goofy and a little bit silly, and at times even did seem very stupid. But he won, you know? And then the latter half of the game, the World of Ruin, kind of becomes like a revenge story a little bit, and I kind of liked that. So maybe I'm in the wrong. Is this a hot take? Maybe it's a hot take that Kefka kind of isn't that great. Here's another one. Kefka is not nearly as interesting a villain as people make him out to be. He's pretty one-dimensional and doesn't have a ton of interesting backstory. The fact that he wins for a time is about the only thing that sets him apart from most other Final Fantasy villains. Again, yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I kind of liked Kefka, but I'm still pretty new to the franchise, so I'm still trying to learn about all this stuff. So bear with me as we go through the series, and maybe by the time I get through more games, I'll be like, yeah, he kind of sucks. It's fine, it's a good game, not a great one. The characters, the tropes are just a little extra and feel like wooden caricatures instead of characters. The story feels rushed, both in world and as a project. It's not a masterful story, oh my god, but it does the job. It feels like they really needed to give some time to breathe after some events. As it stands, nothing really has an impact that it could have. Except for a couple of characters, that mostly being Sabin, Terra, Edward, and Cyan. I didn't like Cyan. You know, I talked about that a little bit in my tier list, which you should check out. But I didn't really care much for Cyan. Magic or attacking is just as powerful than the special skills. While not always the case, it makes the characters all feel the same during battle. I kind of agree with that. I did not use a lot of character abilities throughout my playthrough and did focus mostly on magic and physical attacks. Magicite leveling stats is extremely annoying. Is that a thing? I don't even, I just kind of equip whatever Magicite to people. Okay, maybe I missed that. The whole World of Ruin section of the game is so boring compared to the first half. While it does flesh out the characters a bit, it's not really enough to make up for them being so wooden in the first place. Again, it's not horrible, it's just a little bland compared to what it feels like it could have been. And again, Kefka is just a murder clown. There's nothing special about him, but that's why he's a great villain. He's just a batshit insane man-child, and that's perfect for him. Okay. I kind of agree a little bit about the World of Ruin section. I kind of liked that, Kefka won, and then it becomes a revenge story where you get all your friends together. But it is pretty much all just like side missions and backstory. And it feels like there definitely could have been a little bit more to it. The opera scene is intensely cheesy. This is wrong. This is the most beautiful scene in a video game I've ever played. You stop. Again, Kefka is the most overrated Final Fantasy villain. He's not a bad villain, and in fact is very fitting given the themes of the game, but people tend to have a much higher opinion of his capabilities than actually warranted. Okay, yeah, I kind of get it, It's, again, a lot of people actually seem to... Maybe this isn't that hot of a take, because a lot of people say, like, hey, Kefka wasn't that great. So, I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree about Kefka. I thought he was a pretty good villain, a little bit, like I said, a little bit silly and kind of stupid at times, but, I mean, he kind of, like, stepped in and, was like, did what he did. Okay, this one gets me. Locke fucking sucks, and I hate him with my whole being. He's absolutely shit in battle, being outclassed by Shadow in every way. And yet the game insists on shoving him in my party all the time. I just don't understand why the game seems so obsessed with him. My biggest pet peeve is when people try to argue he's the protagonist of Final Fantasy VI, ignoring the fact that the game was explicitly designed with the intent of not having any single protagonist. If there was a single one, the only viable candidates in my mind are Terra and Celeste. I can understand the argument of him sharing equal importance with them to some extent, but arguing he's more important than either is just plain wrong. I do want to be clear that I don't think anyone's wrong for liking Locke. I understand his appeal. I just can't stand when people try to argue he's the most important person in the game. Okay. Locke is arguably my favorite character in the game, so I very much disagree with this. And I haven't engaged very much with people regarding how people feel about the cast yet. I tried to do my best to avoid reading up on anything like that or the game itself before I played it. I very much do like Locke, and I feel like maybe he could have an argument as being the protagonist, but I definitely do feel like that goes more to Celeste. I would say the first half of the game is very much Terra, but she's so in and out of the story that it feels like it has to be Celeste. I feel like Celeste is the true star of the game. Anyways, I very much disagree with this. I like Locke a lot. Alright, first half of the game is good. Everything after that, the World of Ruin, is glorified proto-fetch quest, and it ain't all that good in my opinion. Also, my other apparent spicy take, not having a main character and having such a large cast means nobody gets any real screen time for true character exploration or growth. Fight me. Well, I'm not gonna fight you, so don't worry, we're good. You might be able to beat me anyways. I kind of agree, the World of Ruin was the weakest part of the game, because it very much is like a basically long fetch quest where you have to go around and find all your friends, and that's kind of it. There's a lot of side content, like the arena and stuff you can do, but even the arena's there just to get Shadow back, pretty much, So, I kind of get that. A lot of people I noticed were saying the World of Ruin section's not that good, but, I mean, I don't know. I agree, but I don't agree. The not having a main character part of this, I understand why you wouldn't like that, but that's part of what made me like this game more, was because it felt like there were so many characters in the game that did have a pretty big importance to the story, or at least to getting people to where they needed to be and being involved. Like, I didn't like Cyan. I didn't think he was very important in the story, but he was important to Sabin, getting back to everybody. And same thing with, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the characters had a pretty big role. Well, maybe not a lot of characters. Maybe about half of the characters had a pretty big role in the game. Loved it. Probably my third favorite in the series, but I have a few small criticisms that people might not agree with. The pacing tanks in the World of Ruin section. I think what they did with Kefka was phenomenal and gutsy, but navigating the ruin and looking for everyone can be a bit of a slog at times. I agree with that. It's a little bit of a slog just going around, checking every city, and hoping for the best. The main cast is individually great, but the lack of a main character can sometimes make the wider group feel a bit disjointed. I kind of agree with that too a little bit, but again, like we mentioned before, like I mentioned in, with the last one, I kind of liked that there was no necessarily main character, I always say 12 is a game where half the cast barely speak to each other and have no camaraderie, and although the cast of 6 absolutely has a sense of camaraderie, it's kind of as groups within a larger group. Some of the characters just sort of feel there. I also say the encounter rate can be a little too high in some areas. I kind of agree with that. I played through some sections of this game turning encounters off just so I could navigate through the map, because it can at times be very, very frustrating. There's a bunch of interesting mechanics that overcrowd each other and are then smothered by being able to just teach everybody the strong spells. That I kind of get. I thought a lot of the mechanics and a lot of the abilities were pretty cool, like Sabin having the button input for his monk moves, or like, there was a lot of different, the classes were all pretty varied, You had your blue mage with Strago. Gaw, I didn't like him at all, but he could copy monster moves, so he's kind of like like a beast tamer or something. I don't know if that's the right term. Edgar had tools. You had Locke, who was like your classic thief class, and then Terra with the trance. But by the time you start getting stronger, it kind of always just becomes like useless, You're better just to use the magic or the physical attack. And I kind of get being able to just teach everybody the spells by equipping the espers to them. Definitely kind of just makes everybody the same at some point. Gaw also got the worst end of that treatment. Rage is a cool idea, but poorly explained. Did you know that it also gives you the resistance of the monster along with its attack? Oh. Okay, I actually did not know that, so. Not that I used them a whole lot anyways. Anyways, let's move on. Probably my hottest take is the opera scene ain't all that. I respect the ambition of it, of trying to elevate games, storytelling, and artistry in the 16-bit era, but it just leaves me cold. Having it hyped up for years by the collective internet made me think it was a beautiful, soul-bearing, introspective moment for Celeste, but it's a flimsy ruse to steal an airship. Celeste just happens to look like a famous opera singer and be able to sing like one. It wasn't her dream to sing, or even something she decided to do to seize her new freedom and individuality after leaving the Empire. It's just kind of a sitcom plot to catfish Setzer. The lyrics don't even have anything to do with her personal struggles of identity and worth, and redemption for past sins. It's just kind of a generic love song. The opera scene is just style over substance for me. Well, okay. I, again, very much disagree. I thought it was a very beautiful scene. I thought it is probably the most beautiful scene I have seen in a game from that era, at least. Now, given I haven't played a lot of older JRPGs. I'm still new and fresh into the genre, and I'm trying to learn and understand more. So he lists some other stuff here, like Luca crying over her bed, hugging Chrono beneath the tree. I think that's Chrono Trigger. To be honest, I don't know. I've never played it. That's another one on my list. Cecil's Redemption, or Paula's Prayer, or Gino's Farewell, or Galoof's Last Stand, Zero's Sacrifice, or Mega Man's Solemn, Silent March Away from the Flames. Well, okay, I actually, other than the Mega Man one, I don't actually know what any of this is from. So let me know what those examples are from, because if they're all JRPG, oh my god, if they are all JRPGs, then I am more than interested in finding out what these are, because I'm very much, again, trying to understand and learn more about this genre and why people love these games. And I want to experience all these big moments in games that people enjoy and talk about and love. So let me know what games these are from, and I'll try to find them, and let's go through this together. Let's experience it together. Alright, I think it had too many characters. I would appreciate it more if we only had half the cast, then fully develop their stories instead of having all 14 characters with half-baked stories and half of them, not to mention the other characters, are just there to say we have an ensemble cast. Okay, I kind of get it. You know, there was quite a few characters. I feel like when I did my tier list, I talked about it a little bit, where like some characters just didn't really feel too important in the story, you know? Like Realm and Strago didn't really feel super important in the story. They had their moments for sure, but I feel like we could have just left them in the village, you know, and not really had anything else happen with them. And I feel like if we had done something like that, maybe Cyan could have been more important. I feel like Ga wasn't really necessary. He didn't contribute at all to like the actual story. He just kind of felt there. You know, I kind of feel like maybe the cast could have been trimmed down to half of what it was. And I mean, like, I didn't even get 3 of the characters in my playthrough, so I don't even know what they would have contributed to the story, if anything. Because even without getting those characters and Shadow dying, I still felt like I got a pretty full story of the game. Found the gameplay too grindy, especially having to do that with all the characters. I'm not a huge fan of the Esper system. I also didn't really care much for the Esper system. I thought it was a stupid way to learn magic. I thought it was kind of mid, you know, just whatever to me. I very much, again, I do love the game, but I think there's definitely things in the actual gameplay itself or the story itself that could have been changed or trimmed. They then go on to say, well, the game is good, especially the first half of the cast music story, and it had its great moments. I think it's overrated as well, although it was pretty good for its time. It's an ambitious game that tried to push the series and pixel format forward. I actually like Chrono Trigger better. Again, another Chrono Trigger mention. I need to get to that eventually, you know. I think that might be one of the other ones I see mentioned as the greatest game of all time, so we'll definitely get to it. And finally, game isn't that good. It has aged very poorly gameplay-wise and is only loved by nostalgia-goggled 40-something-year-olds. Well, that's for you to decide, I guess. So, with that said, thank you for watching. Let me know what your hot take is on Final Fantasy VI. Let me know how you feel about any of these, and while you're at it, you should like the video and subscribe. I might do more stuff like this, I don't know. We are starting Final Fantasy X next. Maybe we'll do some Final Fantasy X hot takes by the time I get through that. So, anyways, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we see you in the next video. Goodbye.